Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation on a very important topic. Today, we'll be exploring 6 critical phrases women say that men should never forgive. We'll look at how words can reveal underlying truths in a relationship, and how recognizing certain phrases can help you understand when a relationship might be toxic. We're not here to judge anyone, but rather to identify patterns that can be harmful regardless of gender. So stay with me as we uncover these key phrases and what they really mean. Let's get started. When I see the phrase, "you owe me," I realize that love can quickly turn into a form of labor. It's no longer about mutual support, it becomes a demand for servitude. For example, someone might say, "You owe me a nice life because I gave you children," or "You owe me happiness because I'm with you," or even "You owe me luxury because I deserve it." What's important to understand here is that this person doesn't see you as a true partner. Instead, you're viewed as a resource, like an emotional ATM that they can tap into, while ignoring your feelings and needs. And here's the pattern. The debt they claim is never reciprocal. It's never paid off, no matter what you do. Your love starts feeling like obligation, your commitment turns into exploitation, and your very existence becomes a bill to pay. Ultimately, what they're really saying is, "I don't love you, I love what you provide." That distinction is crucial because it shifts the focus from genuine connection to transactional relationships. When you hear someone say, "I don't owe you anything," especially when you're simply asking for basic respect, that's a red flag. It often comes up in situations like, "I'm uncomfortable with you texting your ex," and the response is, "I don't owe you anything." This kind of reply shifts the focus away from mutual respect and boundary setting. When you ask, "Can you respect this boundary?" and get told, "You can't control me," "I don't owe you anything," it's a sign that they see relationships as one-sided. This isn't about independence, it's about emotional freeloading. They want everything from you, your time, your feelings, your boundaries, but they're not willing to give anything in return. The message here is pretty clear. Your feelings, your concerns, they don't really matter to them. Recognizing this pattern is crucial because it helps you understand that some people might not be capable of respecting you in a healthy way. It's a warning sign that you're dealing with someone who's not interested in a balanced, respectful relationship. What we're seeing here is a perspective that some people hold. This idea that all men are the same, or even all men are trash. And I want to emphasize, this isn't a joke or just a passing comment. It's a worldview. When someone truly believes that, it means that if they see all men as trash, then to them, you are trash too, no matter what you do or say. This mindset puts you in a position where you're constantly trying to prove yourself, trying to earn respect or love that's already been denied. It's like trying to convince someone that you're different from what they believe, but that's a losing battle because the underlying belief is that all men are inherently bad. And when they enter into relationships with this belief, they're not doing it to build something meaningful. Instead, they're collecting evidence, proof of disappointment, of failure, of betrayal. It's as if they're looking for reasons to justify their worldview. Most importantly, they never take accountability. Because if their belief is all men are trash, then nothing they do is ever their fault. It's always someone else's fault, always someone else's failure. And this attitude doesn't lead to healing or growth. It breeds hostility, an environment of suspicion and blame. Recognizing this dynamic is crucial because it shows us how harmful and limiting such a worldview can be, especially when it comes to building genuine, respectful relationships. So let's talk about this phrase, "I'm just a girl" or "I'm just a woman." It might sound innocent at first, but in the context of this discussion, it's actually a form of weaponized incompetence. What does that mean? Well, it's a way to make responsibility disappear with just one sentence. For example, if someone forgets to pay the bills instead of owning up, they might say, "Girls are just bad with money." Or if there's a public tantrum, it's dismissed as being emotional because I'm a woman. These are classic examples of shifting blame or avoiding accountability. And here's the critical point. They're often helpless when real consequences come into play. But on the flip side, they can be shockingly capable when they want to demand benefits, whether that's attention, validation, or support. Children aren't held accountable either, and that's exactly the point. It's a way of saying, don't expect much from me except what benefits me. So this phrase isn't just about gender. It's about a broader pattern of evading responsibility and controlling the expectations others have of us. It ties into the overall theme of how accountability is manipulated in these dynamics. Let's talk about this phrase. If you loved me, you would. It's a common phrase, but it's actually a form of emotional blackmail disguised as romance. Instead of genuine love, it's about making someone feel guilty or obliged to do things they might not want to do. For example, if you loved me, you'd buy it. Or if you loved me, you'd cut off your friends. Or even if you loved me, you'd give me your passwords. What's really happening here is that love becomes a tool for compliance. Affection gets turned into leverage. The more you give, whether it's time, trust, or personal boundaries, the more they demand. And the tragic part is, the final price is often your very identity. True love, on the other hand, doesn't test or manipulate. Real love trusts. It's built on mutual respect, not on control or guilt. When love is genuine, it's freeing, not constraining. And that's a key point to remember as we look at healthy relationships versus unhealthy dynamics. So when someone says, just leave then, it's not really about communication. Threatening to leave is a control tactic, a way to manipulate the situation. It turns every disagreement into a hostage situation, where the other person essentially says, my way or the highway. They gamble on the idea that you're more afraid of losing them than you are of losing yourself. But here's the thing, say this enough times, and one day you might actually pack your bags. And when that moment comes, the shock on their face will reveal the harsh truth. It was always a bluff, until it was. This highlights how these threats are often used to maintain control, but they're ultimately a dangerous game. It's important to recognize this pattern because it can erode your sense of self and your boundaries over time. So on this slide, we're looking at a really important idea. These phrases aren't just mistakes or slips of the tongue. They're actually expressions of underlying beliefs. When someone says something like, you owe me, what they're really communicating is that they believe you exist to serve their needs. Similarly, when someone says, I don't owe you anything, it reveals that they see their needs as irrelevant or not deserving of attention. Then there's the phrase, all men are trash. That reflects a belief that the person is destined for failure or that they are somehow predetermined to be unworthy. When someone says, I'm just a girl, it's often a way of saying accountability doesn't apply to me or that they're excusing certain behaviors. The phrase, if you loved me, is a form of emotional leverage, implying that love is something they control and can withhold to get what they want. And when someone says, just leave then, it's really about power, treating the relationship itself as a game of control. What's crucial here is realizing that these aren't accidental slips. They reveal core values, beliefs about themselves, others, and relationships. And these values don't usually change easily. So, recognizing these phrases helps us understand the deeper mindset at play, which is a key step in addressing underlying issues and fostering healthier connections. This idea ties back to our overall theme. Understanding beliefs is essential to transforming behaviors. So, why do men sometimes stay too long in these unhealthy situations? Well, it often comes down to certain phrases and behaviors that can keep someone trapped. For example, they might exploit your love, making you feel guilty or responsible for fixing things. They weaponize your loyalty, convincing you that your commitment should outweigh your own well-being. Sometimes, they punish your forgiveness, turning kindness into a tool to control or manipulate. They might use sweetness as a leash, pretending to be loving while actually keeping you tied down. And sadly, they normalize toxicity as passion, making it seem like the chaos and hurt are just part of love itself. What's really important to understand is that your biggest strengths, your compassion, your loyalty, your capacity to forgive, can actually be turned against you. These qualities, which are wonderful traits, become the very tools that can break you down if used improperly. And over time, you might not even realize the damage being done. It's only when you look back that you see how far you've come and how much you've lost along the way. This slide highlights a harsh truth. Staying too long in these situations can cause you to barely recognize yourself anymore. Let's take a moment to reflect on what healthy love sounds like. It's about communication that fosters respect and understanding. For example, instead of saying, "You owe me," a healthier way to express ourselves is, "Can you help me with?" This shifts the focus from blame to collaboration. Similarly, saying, "I need space," is much better than accusing the other person of owing us something or being responsible for how we feel. It's about being clear and honest. When we're hurt, instead of generalizing with "all men are trash," we can share our feelings by saying, "I'm hurt, and here's why." It keeps the conversation open and personal, rather than dismissing or blaming. Admitting mistakes, like saying, "I made a mistake," shows humility and openness. It creates a foundation for growth. On the other hand, saying, "I'm just a girl," can be dismissive of our worth, which isn't healthy. Expressing gratitude, like, "Thank you for loving me," reinforces appreciation and connection. It's much better than demanding proof of love or testing the relationship's strength. And when conflicts arise, saying, "Let's work this out," promotes teamwork, rather than walking away or issuing ultimatums with "just leave then." Throughout all these examples, the key takeaway is that respect isn't something we earn or deserve. It's the minimum standard in any healthy relationship. Respect should be present at all times, regardless of circumstances or performance. It's the foundation for genuine love and connection.